This is Hill with Jeremy Dunham.
Hi.
And we're here to talk about Grand Theft Auto 4, The Lost in the Dam. This trailer actually came out a little while ago, but since then I've at least had a chance to put my hands on the game, so we actually have kind of some more context for the movie now, or for the game. It's like a movie, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and you know what's great about it is you've played it, and I've heard you talk about playing it, and then I haven't, so I can give a nice little counterpoint to your experience and the fact that I've never touched it.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting because you think you know what you're going to get from the game just by looking at this trailer the first time, but once you've actually seen it, you know, there's some things that you maybe wouldn't normally have noticed. Now, the story is actually separate from your adventures with Nico. You don't actually continue the story from GTA 4 or something like that. You're actually going to select a brand new game when you start this out, when you download it. So even though it's in Liberty City, it's sort of like a separate world, but you know, Nico does cross over here, but we don't get to see him in the trailer, unfortunately.
Now, what's funny about that is I realize you don't see him in the trailer, but a couple of those bikers, especially one of them, looked sort of like Nico with too much collagen injected into his face.
Are you talking about...
That guy. There he is. Look at him.
This guy, are you talking about on the left right here?
Yeah, the fits.
This is the main character. This is your guy, Johnny. And here's the interesting thing. Does he look familiar to you?
He does,
The reason why he looks familiar to you is because there is actually a mission in GTA 4 where Nico and Playboy go to deliver some heroin for Elizabetha. And remember, there was a guy who had the heroin who was meeting him there. Guess who that is? It was Johnny, and that was when the undercover cops.
Yeah.
Exactly. So what we find out, and that actually is a mission that I got to play. So what we find out from that is basically you get to actually go and pick up the heroin as Johnny, and then when things go wrong, then you've got to bust out and go a different way. So this is a good freeze frame for us in that if you kind of look at this, if you've noticed, maybe some people noticed that the trailer kind of looked grainy, and people were wondering why they put that effect on there. That is actually throughout the game. So when you switch over and play the Lost in the Dam DLC, you're going to notice that there's a grain filter throughout the game. And also, if you notice, you know, there's a very classic GTA style font that they're not using for Lost in the Dam. So they did lots of little presentation touches so that it would feel as if, you know, even if it's just kind of subconsciously, you would kind of start to notice that it's a different game than just being GTA 4. But what you will notice, and actually you can see this in one of these clips early on, is that they've added a bunch of new animations for Johnny and the other people. So, you know, before you could actually do a jump, a dive towards like cover, for example. But I know there's one up here, yeah. So you see Johnny here doing this kind of cool slide into cover. Like, that's basically a new animation. So that way, again, they didn't want it to be like, oh, we've reskinned Nico, and now you're playing as him. Another thing I'd noticed is...
So this is in-game?
This is in-game. This is in-game, yeah. And nice. This is actually one of the new weapons. This is probably one of the cooler weapons. You have a sawed-off shotgun now, which is great fun. There's a lot of damage. You can shoot it while you're riding on your bike. And they also have... actually show most of the new weapons in here. This is the auto shotgun. Which is great, because it's like, first of all, shotgun tends to be the best weapon in any game. I've always felt. Like, shotgun is the weapon that I always love to use, because I like to get up close and personal. Sort
of looks like the shotgun from Army of Two. Did you ever use that one when you fully upgraded it? Very similar.
And the cool thing is there's actually you remember in San Andreas when they had like the on-rails missions? So they have that in here, and you actually get to use an auto shotgun with unlimited ammo. One of the questions people have, I'm sure you have, Jeremy, is... will you be able to go into those interiors as Nico? Like, you buy this, do those open up in Grand Theft Auto 4?
Yeah.
The answer is no.
Oh.
And this is Billy. He's the president. And one thing that you can notice...
Of the United States?
Of the United States. Of the gang, their motorcycle game, The Lost. And if you'll notice, it's like you'll actually see... you can't really see it in this shot, but they all have sort of like their kind of duties. Like, you know, Billy's will actually say president and... stuff like that. Clay is actually, his nickname's Crow Dog. He's the guy you call up and he'll get you a new bike. So if you destroy your one-of-a-kind bike, you can call him up, get him a new bike. And Johnny, you see, that's his,
obviously
his nickname is Loyal, which is kind of ironic because there's a sort of an inner feud between him and the leader.
Well, also the fact that I think if you remember the last game, he wasn't exactly the most loyal guy. When he got to the mission, he's like, well, see, I'm going to go downstairs and leave you to your basically the guns.
Well, you get to kill guys when you come downstairs. So you can see it's got the president tag now for Billy so that you know he's in charge. No, and this is obviously the outside of the Lost headquarters. That's what it says, no parking except for the Lost. But yeah, it's kind of a cool...
How much do that permit costs?
I'm going to say probably, well, in New York City, probably a couple $1,000s. I will tease this much. You know, there is a second expansion pack that's promised exclusively to 360. And we were told that by the end of this, you will see that they have, quote unquote, set up what they want to do for the future. My prediction, we're going to see a co-op game for the next one that's going to be Nico and Johnny. That's my guess.
It's a pretty good guess. Now the question is that going to be a game that we'll see this year or next year?
I think that might be a game that we're going to see next year. You know, just one thing I'll add on to this as we kind of scrubbed through one last time is that I kind of feel that instead of doing what they did before in the past, where they would do GTA 3, then they had kind of 2 not real sequels, but just new games in between. I think this is going to be the game. These are going to be the games in between will all take place as DLC in Liberty City, and then we'll get 5, whether it's next gen or whatever. Like that'll come next. I don't think they're going to do like a different city in between. You know, I think it's going to be a full-fledged sequel next time we see it.
No, I think that makes sense. And if this game is as good as, or this add-on is as good as you're alluding to, then I think that that's a very viable platform for them, and something that I'm actually looking forward to playing more now that we've talked about it than I did before I sat down, which is good. That doesn't happen very often.
So that's our look back at the Lost in the Dam trailer. Stay tuned for IGN when we have plenty more on a GTA DLC, which comes out February 17th, exclusively for Xbox 360 for $20.
10.1.
We're out of here.